Hello and welcome to Beginnersville, and this tutorial is going to be on basic building. Okay, on the top left here of the viewer menu, you're going to find build, and we're going to click build here, and our build menu is going to open a pop-up window. In this tutorial, we're going to go over the basics here for the build menu. So when we go to the next tutorial, you'll understand what I'm talking about and where to go and what to look for. If you notice these white lines here, you're going to find them in different menus. They separate the sections of the menus. If I click me, you'll notice there's a white line here, a white line here. They separate the different categories that you can choose. Okay, so and the first part on the top, you're going to notice that there are different figures and shapes. You can res any one of these. When you open the build menu, you're going to get a little wand. Those who work with Adobe know that this little wand is called Magic Wand, and it magically makes something appear. Okay. So the other way to get to the build, delete that, is by right-clicking out in an open field and select build. Same menu. The General tab. We're going to work with the basic square. General tab is where you're going to name your object. Click drag in a field, highlight, and let's call it box. Okay. The description part, we'll get to that later. Sometimes people put that in there for scripts, or when you have more than one box instead of, or object. Instead of naming it box practice 1, box practice, put a description in there. In your inventory, you know what it is. Creator. That's the person that created the object. When you create this object, your name will be here. If you sell it, whoever buys it will be the owner. The owner will go here. Group. This is my group Beginnersville. When you, whatever tag that you're wearing from that group will go here. If you do it by mistake, you can change it by clicking the tool. We're going to select none, and that's what we have. Share box, this is when you need to deed it to a group for group members to use or control. We're not going to do that now. Click to, right now it's set to default. Meaning if I put a script in here and I want it to do something, the default action is if I touch it, it's going to activate the script. Sit on object. See the chair? I click it, now I can sit on it. So if you want to make an object that you can sit on, that's what you do. Okay, now to bring the menu back, just right click the box, go to edit. Show and search, this is if you have it for sale. If you check this box, put the amount that you want, and it will show and search. Somebody searches for a box practice or a practice box, it'll show up in the search. We're not going to do that either. And we'll get in as far as selling stuff and whatnot. That's another tutorial. Okay, the bottom here. It's permission. You can modify this object. I can set it for anyone to move or take a copy. The next owner, whoever buys, or I give it to, right now they can't do anything with the box. And if they lose or delete it, they don't even have a copy. I want them to change the color or whatever, set my modifications here. Transfer is usually not good unless you're using the object for advertisements, free giveaway, and you want people to spread it around so people know who you are. Objects tab. Now here, when I tell you to go to a tab, this is the tab I want you. This is where you find the tab below the first line. The Objects tab. This tab gives you all the information and the changes, dimensions, coordinates of the object you are creating. Above the line gives you a list on the left. Move, rotate, stretch, select faces. In the future tutorial, I'll tell you need to dot the rotate, dot the stretch. That means you need to select it by putting a dot in there. Okay, we'll get to the edit links and everything else. Right now we'll stay with the move. I have mine set at do not stretch both sides. If I want to stretch both sides at the same time, I'm going to check this box, select stretch, and you notice that the size in meters highlights the XYZ. I'm going to explain what XYZ is in a minute. On the rotation, it's better to know on the move. Okay. I'm going to explain the XYZ in a moment. It's better to use the move to explain to you what XYZ is. Working with the stretch both sides, these boxes appear. The red coordinates with the X, red X. The size, stretch size, is a half a meter. This is 0.5. Okay? I'm not going to get into too much details about the 1/10, 1/100th, 1/1000th of a meter. Don't need it for basic buildings. Select face. You can pick one face and just work on that one face. Okay? You cannot stretch just one face. This select one face is to work on textures and colors. Edit link is when you have one or two or more objects connected together. We're going to get to that in a second. Okay, so let's get to the move. I'm going to use my camera here, and you'll notice that there's a green arrow, a red arrow, and a blue arrow. These represent the axis. An axle, you can spin on an axle. Okay, it is pronounced X, Y, Z. So if you see another tutorial and they say, well, on the Z axis, that's the Z axis. It's properly pronounced Z. To move along one of these axes, what you need to do is pass your mouse over the arrow and you see that it gets fatter, it highlights. Click, drag, hold the mouse button down, and you can move it. You notice these white bars up here, it is a scale. 31 meters. Move to the next one, that is 0.5, 31.5. They measure in increments of half meters. Same as the Z-axis. I moved it to 201.5 meters high from the ground level 0. Okay? Alright. Simple basics. Okay, so we got the move, which controls the position of the object. Rotate. See, we now have circles. Here we're going to go explain to you this, and it's going to take a while for you to remember if you don't work with 3D programs. My Z-axis runs from the ground up to the sky, straight up through the middle. That is the axis point. When we rotate, we're going to rotate, if I rotate Z axis, I'm going to rotate it on the axis. Okay? Now you notice that it also has a scale going around it. North, east, and these scales help you to snap 45-degree angle. Okay, so let's go in here. I'm going to change this to 0. I'm going to select this face and then color it so you can see what's going on. Blank, full color. Okay, rotate. Now, I rotated east, notice it snapped. 45-degree angle, notice the snap. However, notice that it will still only move along the axis no matter how you turn it. See? Okay. Back to rotate my object. I can punch in here any degrees I want. 0, beginning status, 180, 180, backside. I completely turn it to the opposite direction. Using these boxes, I can straighten my object out. So if I grab an object, edit, I rotate it, and oops, I messed up. To fix it easily, all you have to do is return it to its original coordinate. 0, enter, tab, 0, tab, 0, enter. Is at the beginning state. Okay, stretch. Once again, the box now represents the axis. Green axis. Notice that when I highlight it right now, it's only grabbing one side, but I do have the stretch box selected. So when I pull it, it stretched both sides. I stopped at 2 meters. That is the size I stretched the box to. It went 1 meter in one direction, 1 meter the other way. Still remained on its center. Let's return it to 1 meter. If I stretch just one side, the other side will not move, but I can get it to a 1/2 meter, returning it to its original state. You need to understand these. Okay, we're not going to get into the stretch texture. When we get to the texture editing part, we'll explain that. Snap to world. What happens if I take this snap off? Notice there are no lines. So if you're moving something around here and you don't get the scale, meters, scales, measurement tool, those tools are there for building for proper measurement. Check your snap. Turn it back on. Local. 150. Really doesn't matter. Sorry. I leave mine on world. I snap to the world because I use the measurements off the sides of what I own. What does that mean? I own this land. You rent the land. You're living in a house. It has coordinates.